Celine Dion at 10 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock. Singing God Bless America. 50 degrees, our current temperature here in Las Vegas. Humidity is real high. Didn't get any sprinkles, okay, but it's at 84%. And I bet you that's going to go way down between now and maybe about 1 o'clock this afternoon on the end of Cliff's program. Anyway, good morning, Las Vegas. Mark Size, your host here on the early morning program. We are in the fourth chapter of the book of Numbers this morning. I might do something just a little different. Good morning, Ernie Padilla. How are you doing? Ernesto, everything going okay out there in your world? Anyway, we were praying for his family last week. Had a death in the family, and thank you for praying for the Padilla family yesterday. Anyway, glad to be along with you today. A lot of stuff to pray about, ladies and gentlemen. I tell you, if not only on an individual, but family, your community, your world, if you can find anything to pray about, maybe I can give you a few ideas because there's, and I don't even know why I say that, except that there's, we need how do they say it? Copious amounts of prayer, not just for our own personal lives, but it does start for your personal life. There's nothing wrong. I mean, if you don't take care of yourself spiritually, you're not going to be able to take care of any of the other issues that are going on in life spiritually. So I'm telling you is that we need to be praying, ladies and gentlemen. We need to take up. I believe that every one of us as believers, if you are born again, regardless of your denominational background and all that divisive devices, how's that are out there this morning, we have to understand that I believe that God has given each and every one of us a ministry of intercession. And yours might be a little bit more than others, but are you interceding? And there's nothing wrong with praying for yourself. There's nothing wrong with asking God to give you the grace. And say, well, that's kind of selfish. Yeah, but if you don't strengthen up yourself, you ain't going to be able to help anybody else. Anyway, as we've already mentioned this morning, we are in the fourth chapter of the book of Numbers. Ernie is with us. Dana's with us. Kathleen, Andrea, and Joe Gentry is back with us on Facebook this morning because Dana and I were able to connect it up yesterday. By the way, Dana, I got that sewing project delivered over here to the church, so you can pick it up when you want to. I didn't do it. I'm just the delivery boy, and he can say thank you. Phone number, just in case anybody would be thinking about getting a hold of us this morning, 505-454-9527 is our phone number. We also have an email, contact klyn903@gmail.com, and that should be able to take care of most of what we're doing here this morning to get us closer and closer to our study this morning. And talking about our study this morning, we might do something a little bit different by going to the Amplified Bible, okay? Because as we get in, and I'm not sharing the screen yet, okay? I will, but I was reading today's chapter that we're starting off with, which is the fourth chapter of Numbers. You know that Numbers is all about numbering Israel. That's why they call it Numbers, because Numbers is being numbered, or Israel's being numbered, really, is what it is. And we've been numbering the community, the different tribes. We've also been numbering the Levites in yesterday's program. And let's just get into it this morning. And if let's see. I'm just kind of thinking about this. I don't know if it's that big of a problem or not, but I think we might be in the Amplified Bible this morning. I like the Amplified Bible. I don't know about you, but this kind of helps us out a little bit of keeping it a little bit easier for us to know exactly what's going on. So if you are following along with us on YouTube or Facebook this morning, okay, that Joe, I was talking about praying for the Padilla family and their loss last week. You know about that. I think you do. Anyway, chapter 4, the book of Numbers, talks about the duties of the Kohathites. All right? So we talk about order so much, which God saw everything discombobulated at the beginning of the Bible in Genesis 1:1. In fact, we have somebody called Genesis 1:1 with us this morning. But God saw everything discombobulated in the world in the beginning, and in the beginning He spoke, and as He spoke, He brought things into order. And you look at the first chapter of the book of Genesis, and He brings things into order. He begins to populate the earth, but He had to bring the sun, the moon, all of the earth into order first. We're in this book called Numbers. We're in this history lesson of the people of Israel, and He's bringing things into order. But realize also that God wants to bring our personal lives into order, and that's why we pray, Thy kingdom come, Thy will be done, because Adam and Eve were created in order and they fell into disorder. And God is in the job of getting all of us Adam and Eves of the world and calling us by His word, by His Spirit, by the cross and the empty tomb. He is calling us back into order. And this is a long process, this whole order thing, because one of these days, God is going to show up and He's going to establish His reign on earth for 1,000 years. And if that's too much for you well, I don't know about that. Maybe you haven't read the end of the book of Revelation about chapter 20, or you don't know some of the things that Isaiah has talked about in other Old Testament, or what even Jesus talked about Himself. But I want to tell you what, God is bringing everything back in order. It's like the circle, okay? God is bringing everything back around to His purposes, and we have to understand that. And He says, I'll do it. You just come along for the ride by faith, and you just do what I've asked you to do. Prayer is part of that. So when we get into the 4th chapter of the book of Numbers, God is getting ready to release these people, actually to lead them, because He's going to lead them by the cloud, and He's going to, or the pillar of fire, and He's going to say, okay, now it's time for us that we've talked a lot about order, starting in the book of Exodus, all through Leviticus, and all through the book of Numbers. It's going to be about order, especially the first 10 chapters before they get going. Anyway, good morning, Yolanda. How's Yolanda doing this morning? Then the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, take a census. Now remember, if you're watching this morning, well, even if you're listening, you might say, well, my Bible, usually we're going with the same Bible. I'm switching it to the Amplified, okay, this morning. Then the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, take a census of the sons of Kohath from among the sons of Levi by their family clans, by their fathers' households, from 30 years old and upward, even to 50 years old, all who enter the service to do the work of the tent of meeting. Good morning, Jeff. How you doing? So, we're numbering. Isn't that what the book is all about? Yeah, a lot of the book is about numbering. We want to find out where we're at, what has come out of Egypt, where they are presently, and then prepare them to move on to the purpose of God. And the purpose of God was not to keep them in the wilderness. In fact, I'm going to say, and I've said it many times, and I think it's not too hard to understand, God was not interested in them being in the wilderness for 40 years. Take a census of the sons of Kohath from among the sons of Levi. So Kohath was a family of Levites. The Levites, as we saw yesterday, were presented to the priests, and their job was to help the priest and also to help the congregation. And he says, take a census of the sons of Kohath. There was actually 3 courses in the tribe of Levi. One of them was the Kohathites. So we're going to number them, okay? By the families, by their fathers' households, from 30 years old and upward, even to 50 years old. So we have seen censuses. Is that a good word? I don't think so, but we have seen a census of males from 20 years old and above that were in fighting condition. We've seen another census that was males from 1 month old all the way up to whoever else was alive. Now we see a little bit different. We're looking at the Kohathites, and we're going to number those who are in the age range of their call to serve God and the people, the priesthood and the people, and we're covering 30 years old to 50 years old. So some of us guys don't fall into that. Maybe some of you do, okay, that are out there listening this morning. But the tribe of Levi is where the priestly tribe came out of. And the Kohathites is a third of the tribe of Levi, and we're going to number them up. We're going to take a census of them. All who enter the service to do the work in the tent of meeting. So understand, they're getting specific of what the Kohathites are going to do. This is the work and responsibility of the sons of Kohath in the tent of meeting, the most holy things. So the reason that I am using Amplified this morning is to make sure that I understand that when we're talking about the tent of meeting, we're talking about the tabernacle. Okay? It's not Moses' tent. It's not another tent that's out there someplace. This is the tabernacle that has been very specific on how it was going to be put together. Now, before we get too far, let's go to Hebrews chapter 8. I was looking at this morning, chapter 8, and about verses 4 and 5. Now, if he, talking about Jesus, we're in the New Testament for a little while, if you're following along with me. Okay, good morning, Flo. Now, if he were still living on earth, talking about Jesus, he would not be a priest at all, for there are priests who offer the gifts to God in accordance with the law. And we know that the book of Hebrews is saying Jesus is better than, and the particular chapter that we're in is still continuing to say that Jesus is better than the Mosaic covenant and the Mosaic priesthood. That yes, there was a priesthood, Aaron and his sons, but Jesus is better than the Aaronic priesthood. And if he were still living on earth, he would not be a priest at all, for there are priests who offer the gifts to God accordance with the law. As long as there was a temple, as long as there was a tabernacle, there was the priesthood with the holy place, the Holy of Holies, and all that stuff. Many people talk about the rebuilding of a new temple and the Temple Institute and the red heifers and all that stuff that still people are trying to plan on getting this, okay? But they serve, back to your point, Mr. Seiss, before we play a song. But now they serve as a pattern and foreshadowing of what has true existence, reality in the heavenly things. Now, here's what I want to bring out to us this morning. We've done this a couple of times over our last couple of books. The tabernacle, the sanctuary, the tent that we've been talking about in the 4th chapter of the book of Numbers is a copy of the tabernacle that is in heaven. And what it's saying there is Jesus is a priest. Aaronic is a priest. The Aarons of the world are a priest. There is a tabernacle, or was a tabernacle on earth, but there is a tabernacle in heaven. Moses was about to erect the tabernacle. Verse 5, chapter 8, book of Hebrews. He was warned by God, saying, see that you make it all exactly according to the pattern which was shown to you on the mountain. And God told him that, as you see there in Exodus 25:40. So I want you to understand is that the tabernacle that we're talking about, that the Kohathites are going to be the tent of meeting / tabernacle of Moses, the Old Testament, that they are being assigned to, is a copy. It's a copy of the one and true tabernacle, or I guess we could call it tent of meeting, but I don't think we have to, in heaven, that there is. And this is just a copy of that. Okay, so you understand that the copy isn't as good as the original, but it is still a copy. So what does that tell us? It tells us that God has a tabernacle in heaven, and Jesus is at his right hand serving as priest, as the high priest over it. Russ Taff taking us up to our weather report.
Go tell it on the mountains, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountains that Jesus Christ is born. While shepherds kept their watching, or silent flocks by night, behold, throughout the heavens there shone a holy light. Yeah. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Yeah. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. The shepherds feared and trembled, low above the earth, ring out the angel chorus that hailed the Savior's birth. Go tell it on the mountains, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountains that Jesus Christ is born. Down in the lowly manger, our blessed Christ was born. And God sent us salvation on that blessed Christmas morn. Ah, go tell it on the
Oh, yeah. That's what we're doing here. We're telling you from the KLYN mountain that Jesus Christ is Lord. It's weather time, sunny today. We're expecting a high of 91 degrees. West wind this morning, 5 to 10, becoming 10 to 15 later in the day. Tomorrow, 96 degrees is expected high with sunny skies. West wind 5 to 10, increasing 10 to 15 later in the day. And then on Thursday, cooling off to 86 degrees with sunny skies, north wind 10 to 15 miles per hour. That is the updated weather report. Let's get going on our chapter for today. How are we going to do that? I think that's the way we're going to do it. Got it. Good morning, Marie. Okay. Good morning, Leroy. Good morning, Flo. Anyway. Ooh, Marie, Sunday. Okay. So then the Lord spoke to Moses, take a census of the sons of Kohath. Okay. From 30 to 50 years old, male. Okay. Because their job is to do some of the work in the tent of meeting, a tent that we have tried to establish with you this morning scripturally, that there is a tabernacle in heaven. And Moses was instructed to be sure that he, you can go to Isaiah chapter 6. You can go to Revelation chapter 4, starting off with chapter 4, and see some of the things that the heavenly tabernacle looks like. Because these people have had visions or actually visitations like John the Revelator did. But I want you to understand this morning is that there is a tabernacle in heaven. The Romans can't take it down. The the day of disclosure can't take it down. The Greeks weren't able to take it down. Yes, they dealt with the earthly, but they can't deal with the heavenly. And this is what Jesus says: the gates of hell will not prevail. So don't fear not, little flock. I don't care what anybody's saying. So this is the work and responsibility of the sons of Kohath in the tent of meeting, the most holy things. So in the earthly tabernacle, the Kohathites had a job. When the camp prepares to move out, okay, exactly right, Jeff. Tabernacle was temporary. The temple was permanent. And so let's call it the temple in heaven instead of the tabernacle in heaven. I think that helps us out a little bit more. And it is permanent. It's an eternal house of God in heaven. Always has, is, and always will be. And the gates of hell will not prevail against it. And what God is trying to do is establish that. And here's another thought that I have. We talk about church. We talk about biblically what the church is. I do not believe that the church will be complete until the Jews are restored back unto fellowship. And when we have a Gentile and Jewish fullness church, that's when we're going to see the church be the church that God intended it to be. I'll let you chew on that one for a while, even though I probably didn't explain it right. But I think there's a missing element to church. And we can patch it up with something different. So this is the work and responsibility to the sons of Kohath. When the camp prepares to move out, Aaron and his son shall come into the sanctuary and take down the veil, the screening off the Holy of Holies, and cover the ark of the testimony with it. And they shall put on it a covering of porpoise skin, and shall spread over that a cloth of pure blue, and shall insert the carrying poles of the ark. So when it was time for the tabernacle the people to move, and the tabernacle was going to be in the middle of the association of the people as they're going to begin to be traveling, and we even covered a little bit of that. We're going to cover more today if I get some traction. But here's what Moses was told by God. You get the Kohathites and you tell them that they have a responsibility. But it's the responsibility of the priesthood to prepare the Ark of the Covenant before the Kohathites do what they're supposed to do. When the camp prepares to move out, Aaron and his sons / priesthood shall come into the sanctuary and take down the veil. The veil was the separation between the holy place and the Holy of Holies. Down the veil, screening off the Holy of Holies, and cover the Ark of the Testimony with it. So we kind of have an idea what the Ark might look like, but that veil that was separating the holy from the Holy of Holies was going to be taken down by the priesthood, and the first thing they were going to do, and the Kohathites are still going to be outside. And the priesthood was going to cover the Ark, and then over the veil, they were going to put porpoise skin. We saw that as some of the materials that were going to be used as some of the covering of the sanctuary. And then over that, they're going to put a cloth of pure blue and insert the carrying poles of the ark. So by the time that the Kohathites came in, the ark would be prepared. But that's not all. Over the table of the bread of presence, they shall spread a cloth of blue and put it on the plates, the dishes, the sacrificial bowls, the jars for the drink offering, the continual bread shall be put on it. So this was as you would walk into the tabernacle of Moses. On the right would be the table of shewbread, and he's saying, okay, now you're going to prepare the golden table. Also, the table of the bread of the presence with a blue cloth. And all of these things were being covered and prepared when it was time to move. They were going to move down the road on the way to the promised land. And then when God told them, time to settle down for a little while here, we're going to camp out here, they would put everything together, but not just them. All of the Levites together would have their jobs. Okay? Over the table, bread of presence, they shall spread a cloth of blue, put it on the plates for dishes, sacrificial bowls, jars for the drink offering shall be on it. They shall spread over them a cloth of scarlet and cover it with covering of porpoise skins, and it shall insert its carrying poles. And you understand that once they covered, whether it was the ark or whether it was the shewbread table, is that once they covered it with the colors and the materials that God said, then they would insert the poles that would kind of hold it down from the outside. The poles would, and that's where they would carry it. There was not going to be touching of the ark. There was not going to be touching of the shewbread table. And that's what the carrying poles were for, because somebody was going to carry it. Then they shall take a blue cloth and cover the lampstand. On the left was going to be the menorah for the lights, along with its lamps, its wick cutters, trays, all the oil vessels by which it supplies. They shall put the lampstand and all its utensils on a covering of porpoise skin and shall put it on carrying bars. So they were going to lay this, once they covered it up, the menorah, they were going to lay it on their carrying bars. And what do you think the carrying bars were there? Okay? It wasn't C-A-R-E, care. It was C-A-R-R-Y, carrying bars, so that they could carry it. Now, we also have the golden incense altar that was on the outside of the curtain. They shall spread a blue cloth, cover it with a covering of porpoise skins, and shall insert its carrying poles, and they shall take all the utensils of the service which they minister in the sanctuary, put them in a blue cloth, cover them with a covering of porpoise skin, and put them on the carrying bars. So God has order for all of this stuff that he has. Now, we started off talking about the temple in heaven. Is there a menorah there? Is there a table of shewbread there? Is there a altar of incense there? I'm guessing that there is, but they don't got to worry about them moving it. They don't have to worry about them. It's been there and always will be there. And chances are that maybe we'll see that and we'll be there one of these days. That could put chills down your back just thinking that maybe one of these days we'll see that and we'll be there. But you know what you can do today? You could attend the throne of grace to find help in a time of need by faith. Now, all of the furniture, had its purpose. And when it was time to move it, there were different materials that were being used to make the tent, the sanctuary, the tabernacle of Moses itself. And some of those that were being used were going to be also have a dual purpose, like the porpoise skins and stuff like that. Okay, because we're going to be moving it. And we have carrying bars and we have poles to carry. They shall clean away the ashes from the altar of burnt offering. That is outside in the courtyard is where the altar of burnt offering was. And he says, clean away the ashes from the altar because they were using it to burn sacrifices, clean it up, get ready to move, and spread a purple cloth over it. And I'm sure all of these colors meant something very specific. Blue, you could say, well, there's blue heaven. Scarlet, was that the blood of Jesus? Purple, I'm not sure, but there's conjecture on my side, and probably somebody has that figured out already. But the order is there. The purpose is there. And we're going to move it. We're going to transport it. It is God's house. It is God amongst his people. And the ark is the presence of God. It is the footstool of God here on earth. But there is the ark that is in heaven, the throne of God, the eternal throne. They shall also put on it all its utensils with which they minister in connection with it. So all the utensils that were used for the altar of burnt offering, okay, they shall also put on it its utensils with which they minister, the pans, the meat forks, the shovels, the basins, all the utensils of the altar. They shall spread a covering of porpoise skin over it and insert its carrying poles. So over the grate is going to be all the utensils that were used and the shovels and the basins and everything like that. You cover it and then you insert its carrying poles, and somebody's going to carry that. He said, really? I don't know. Now here's my question. I don't know the answer to this. Were there going to be wagons that they were going to carry it to, and then they were going to draw the wagons, or were they going to carry it on their shoulders throughout all of the wilderness? A whole lot of carrying going on, ladies and gentlemen, if that was it. Dana says that purple was tied to royalty. Thank you. That's a good one. Kingship. When Aaron and his sons have finished covering the sanctuary and all its furniture as the camp sets out, after all that is done, but not before, the sons of Kohath shall come to carry them using the poles, so that they do not touch the holy things and die. These are the things in the tent of meeting which the sons of Kohath are to carry. The responsibility of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, is the oil for the light, the fragrant incense, and blah, 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 blah. Okay, now, here's what God is telling Moses and Aaron. you guys go in there and you prepare all of these things with the different colors, materials, skins, everything that I've asked you. Put the poles in it, all this stuff to go along with it. He says, but the Kohathites will not look upon. Remember that when the ark came back from the Philistines, the first town in Israel, that it ended up that some of the residents of the land wanted to look inside the ark and they died. They did not see it as holy. They did not esteem it in its proper place. And God says, you tell the Kohathites that they cannot come in and help cover it. It's the priest's job to cover it and put the poles in it, and then the Kohathites can come in. When Aaron and the son have finished covering the sanctuary, verse 15, and all its furniture, the camp sets out. After all that is done, but not before. That's where I like the Amplified, okay? The sons of Kohath shall come to carry them using the poles. So you would notice the little bit extra that it adds to there, so that they do not touch the holy things and die. These are the things in the tent of meeting which the sons of Kohath are to carry. So that's their job. That's the order that God has for the Kohathites. The responsibility of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, is the oil for the light, the fragrant incense, the continual grain offering, and the anointing oil, the responsibility of all the tabernacle and everything that is in it, with the sanctuary and its furnishings. He says, you put your son Eleazar as overseer to make sure, and he has to take care of the oil that's going to be for the lampstand. The incense is going to be for the altar of prayer. Okay, and everything that has to do with the furniture, not the spoons and the forks and the shovels and stuff like that, but the oil for the light, the fragrant incense, the grain offering that's going to be for the altar, the anointing oil, the responsibility of all the tabernacle and everything that is in it, with the sanctuary and its furnishings. He says, put your son over it, Eleazar. Verse 17. It says, then the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, do not cut off to eliminate or destroy the tribe of the family of the Kohathites. Wait a minute, what? What? He says, don't put them in peril. Do not put the Kohathites. Please obey my commands and do not hurt the Kohathites. Well, we don't feel like doing it today. We got sunburned from being out at the lake. So you Kohathites, go over there and cover the ark this time. No, he says, do not cut them off, because what will happen, you know what's going to happen. They have their job. Let them, you do your job, they do their job. There's order in my house. Take it serious. The responsibility that God has given you, take it serious. Do not cut off the tribe of the families of Kohathites, who are only Levites and not priests, from among the Levites by exposing them to the sin of touching the most holy things. The priests could touch them. And when they were going to move, other than that, it was only once a year the high priest was going to go get even close to the ark. But deal with them in this way so that they may live and not die. When I'm serious about this Moses, I'm serious about this Aaron, I'm serious about this Kohathite. But deal with them in this way so they may live and not die when they approach the most holy things. Aaron and his son shall go in and assign each of them to a specific work and to his load to be carried on the march. But the Kohathites shall not go in to see the holy things, even for an instant, or they will die. No peeking. Okay? Yeah, I wonder what it looks like, man. I heard about it, Aaron has described it, and he gave us a little drawing of what it looks like. And, we were there when it was being constructed, before it was put together finally. But I wonder, no. They shall not go in to see the holy things, even for an instant, or they will die. Everybody has their place. Then, verse 21, the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, take a census of the sons of Gershon also by their father's household, by their families. We know that there's 3 courses of Levites. The Kohathites we've talked about already. Now we're going to talk about the Gershonites. There's going to be purpose. You guys have a job to do. You're just not going to be sitting around looking pretty all the time and saying, oh yeah, we're the tribe of Levi. You got about, no, you guys got jobs to do. We don't do things like that in my household, God says. So take a census of the sons of Gershon also, by their fathers' households, by their families. Remember, from 30 years old upward to 50 years old. You shall number them, all who enter for service to do the work of the tent of meeting. This is the service of the families of the Gershonites in serving and in carrying when on the march. Okay? What are the Gershon? They shall carry the tent curtains of the tabernacle. And the tent of meeting, its coverings, the covering of porpoise skins that is on the top of it, the curtain for the doorway of the tent of meeting, a tabernacle, and the hangings of the courtyard, and the curtain for the entrance of the gate of the courtyard, which are around the tabernacle and the altar, and the tent ropes and the equipment for the service, and all that is done they shall perform. So we know that there were curtains that were covering the structure itself that constituted the tabernacle. Okay? And the Gershonites are responsible for preparing all of the material that was over the tabernacle structure and the curtains that were all around the courtyard. Their job was to carry the tent curtains of the tabernacle and of the courtyard. That's their job. Okay? They didn't have to go inside until the Kohathites came in and took what the priesthood had prepared for them to move out of the way. And once they moved it out of the way, then they began to fold up the curtains, okay, of all the, and get it ready to move. Now they're going to put it in a cart, or they're going to carry it. I don't know. I'm the lazy guy, so I'm guessing that it is a cart that they were going to put it in. But everything had its place. Everything had its purpose. And you're right along with there. And this is just a copy of the temple that is in heaven, God's house. So the hangings of the courtyard, the curtain for the entrance of the gate of the courtyard, the tent ropes, all the equipment for their service, because there was hooks that were made, I believe, out of silver or gold that held the curtains, in the structure and all that stuff. And all that is done, they shall perform. Aaron and his sons shall direct all the service of the sons of the Gershonites. So it was the priesthood's job to, make sure, okay, you guys get that curtain, you do it this way, you do it that way. And every time we set it up and every time we tore it down, the priesthood was to be there and to direct it. All they have to carry and all that they have to do, the Gershonites, you shall assign them as a duty all that they are to carry on the march. So it looks like everybody has a job. Everybody's, nobody's standing around with their hands in the pocket, okay? This is the service of the families of the sons of Gershon in the tent of meeting, and their duty shall be under the direction of Ithamar, the son of Aaron, the high priest. So one of the sons of Aaron, Eleazar, was going to look out for the, not the Gershonites, what do we call the first guys that we were, the Kohathites, and then his other son was going to be directing the Gershonites as they're getting the material, the fabric. Really, all of this was fabric of one type or another. There was porpoise skins. Well, first of all, there was the different woven materials, okay, that we've already found out. There's some scarlet, there's some blue, there's some purple. They had, designs that were woven into them. This had to be super beautiful, but it was just a copy. And then there was different types of skins, badger skins, porpoise skins, and coverings that were made for it. In fact, I think there was 4 layers of material that was going to be over the tabernacle structure, the tent of meeting. Verse 29. Say, really more? Yeah, baby. Now you call the sons of Merari. You look at Merari and say, come here, come here, come here. Well, there was a Merari because he had passed away a long time ago. He was a son of, the Merari was a son of, he was a grandson to Jacob, son of Levi. As for the sons of Merari, you shall number them by their families, by their fathers' households. From 30 years and upward to 50 years old, you see the pattern that it's bringing in over here? Yep. He says you do it all. And you make sure that everybody has their job.
There is a fountain filled with blood drawn from Emmanuel's veins, and sinners plunged beneath that flood lose all their guilty stains, lose all their guilty stains, lose all their guilty stains, and sinners plunged beneath that flood lose all their guilty stains. The dying thief rejoiced to see that fountain in his day, and there may I, though while as he wash all my sins away, wash all my sins sins away. Redeeming love has been my theme and shall be till I
Well, good morning, Las Vegas. You're listening to KLY 90.3 FM on a Tuesday morning, 16th day of June. 7 o'clock is the time, and 56 degrees is the temperature. Humidity already down to 70%. Full weather reports coming up for you at the bottom of the hour. Good morning, Jennifer. Guess she slept in a little bit this morning. Yesterday, she was the first one on, even before we ever got started at 6:10. She was with us. Anyway, let's find out what the sons of Merari are going to do. Okay? As for the sons of Merari, and we see there's a pattern here. We already, once we establish the pattern and find out that there's going to be similarities, we can move a little bit quicker. You shall number them by their families, by their father's household, from 30 years upward to 50 years old. You shall number them, everyone who enters the service to do the work of the tent of meeting. We've taken care of the furniture with the Kohathites. Then the Gershonites took care of the materials. Let's see what the Merarites are going to do. This is what they are assigned to carry on the march. According to all their service in the tent of meeting, the boards for the framework of the tabernacle and its bars and its pillars and its sockets or bases and the pillars around the courtyard with their sockets or bases and their pegs and their cords, with all their equipment, with all their accessories for service, and you shall assign each man by name the items he is to carry on the march. We've taken the furniture. The Kohathites have come in and taken the furniture after the priests covered them, got them by their poles, I don't know if that's right, but they took them out by the poles. And then the Gershonites would come behind them, and there was a priest that was watching over them and managing the work, and we're taking off the curtains all around, and not only in the tabernacle, the covering of the tabernacle, the curtains that were there, but also in the courtyard all around. Now we have the structure, and the sons of Merari were responsible for the structure itself, the poles, the bases, and everything that went along with it, whatever was left. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. This is what they're assigned to carry, according to all the service of the tent of meeting. The boards of the tabernacle, its bars, its pillars, its sockets or bases, and the pillars all around the courtyard with their sockets, bases, pegs, cords, equipment, everything else. You guys, that's your responsibility. This is the work of the families of the sons of Merari according to all their tasks in the tent of meeting under the direction of Ithamar, the son of Aaron the priest. Everybody had their job. Everything done in order. Okay, so Merari was going to finish off everything else and get it ready to move it down the road. So Moses and Aaron and the leaders of the congregation numbered the sons of the Kohathites by their families and by their fathers' households. We're numbering males between 30 and 50 years old. Okay. Their actual service didn't start till 30. They had 5 years of training before, since they were 25, to be able to function in these jobs that we're talking about. Okay. The men who were numbered by their families were 2,750. These were the Kohathites. So you can do the math, or we'll let Moses do it for us. These were numbered by the families of the Kohathites, all who did the service in the tent of meeting, whom Moses and Aaron numbered according to the commandment of the Lord through Moses. The men who were numbered of the sons of Gershon by their families and by their father's household from 30 upward to 50 years old, everyone who entered the service to do the work of the tent of meeting, but the men were numbered by their families, by their father's households, were 2,630. So you can add that number to 2,750. We're over 6,000. No, are we over 6,000 or 5,000? Yeah. Approaching 6,000. These were numbered men of the families of the son of Gershon, everyone who served in the tent of meeting, whom Moses and Aaron numbered just as the Lord had commanded them. The men who were numbered of the sons of Merari by their families, by their father's household, 30 to 50 years old, everyone who entered the work for the tent of meeting, the men who were numbered by their families were 3,200. So there was more Merarites than there were Kohathites, and more than there were Gershonites. These are the men who were numbered of the families of the sons of Merari, whom Moses and Aaron numbered in accordance with the commandment of the Lord through Moses. Now we're talking about this numbering system that God had them go through. David at one time decided he was going to number, and he got in trouble for it. But not this time. This is according to the commandment of God. All the men who were numbered of the Levites, whom Moses and Aaron, the leaders of Israel, counted by their families and by their father's household, from 30 years old, again, upward to, you're going to get it, everyone who could enter to do the work of service and the work of carrying the tent to the meeting, these men were numbered at 8,580. Okay? The men that were numbered. So we have a number of 5,380 if we just get the Gershonites and the Kohathites together, and then we add the number of the Merarites, and we get a total number of 8,580. Is that a lot of guys or not? Were they all going to be pulling on curtains or no, but they were all going to be carrying it. You say, if they're not putting them in carts, if they're carrying them, now the number 8,580, imagine those poles that were of acacia wood, and you got a guy on each end carrying a pole, and you got so many poles around that were making up the courtyard. And all of a sudden you say, well, now we know why we need so many guys to be out there working and doing the job. Okay? So according to the commandment of the Lord through Moses, they were numbered, each assigned to his work of serving and carrying. Thus they were numbered by him, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. Yesterday we saw that the Levites, were called to God to cover the number of males that were in all of the tribes, and there was a little bit of discrepancy of how many numbers were there, so there had to be the price to cover their redemption for the overage that was there. Today we find out everything that they were prepared to work for. And we started off the program telling you that this is just a earthly tabernacle that is and the word copy, I'm sure, doesn't cover it, but it's a copy of the heavenly. And Moses had been instructed specifically by the Lord God Almighty not to deviate from what he had been commanded when he was up in the mountain. And God had, and whether God showed him in a vision what the tabernacle in heaven was like, I don't know if it tells us any place, but what we do take out of all this is just a sample of what's in heaven and the actual throne room of God. So we have a lot to look forward to, ladies and gentlemen. We have a lot to say, man, we can't wait till there's going to be a time coming when God is going to, I don't know. I can't tell you exactly, are we going to see it? But you can see it today. You can go to Revelation. Okay, I got a few seconds left. I'll take you there real quick. If I can get it. Revelation chapter 4, just a few verses in. It says, "At once I was in special communication with the Spirit. Behold, a throne stood in heaven with one seated on the throne. And he who sat there appeared like the crystalline sparkle of jasper stones, the fiery redness of sardius stones." And maybe that's what these materials, these fabrics that were of different colors, maybe that's what they were representing, was the different stones than the color of stones that were in heaven. Just something that I was thinking about this morning, I was looking at. Anyway, tomorrow we will be in the next chapter of the book of Numbers. God bless you all. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you for watching along with me.
Estaba mi alma triste, cansada de vivir. Le di yo rienda suelta mi queja sobre mí. Clamé con la amargura en la angustia de mi alma. Yo me sentí culpable, reconocí mis fallas. Vagué por muchos pueblos, atravesé ciudades. Hastiado de la vida, cansado regresé. Dios mío, no me dejes, te necesito tanto. Reconozco mis culpas, Señor, perdóname.